Alright, hello, and welcome back to the latest episode of Rough Rolling, where rolling above a 10 is a blessing and rolling above a 15 is an act of God. I'm Gray, the Game Master, and this time we'll be having a bit of an odd session since we're kind of down a player. So it'll be a shorter one tonight, so everyone can go in and to enjoy their holiday of engorging themselves and getting irrationally angry at the performance of professional ball runners, instead of random chants on a virtual tabletop.
And with that said, good night, everyone. No.
So, let's get into it. Let's have a recap of what we remember happened 2 weeks ago.
Such an impossibly long time passed.
Yes.
Man.
All right. So, let's see. Back from the top, we had gotten through the extra stuff with the Gauntlet. We had gone to do some research on the things that we had found in the library. We talked with I can't remember anybody's damn name. Did I write his name down? Probably not. We talked with Jean-Luc at the Valier Society. I was like, it's J something, but I was like, yeah, no dice here. And he went and told us about the shards that we had found being used for soul magic, which is essentially an older, very powerful type of magic that sort of uses it uses the part of you that doesn't normally go in with the magic now, and so it's dangerous and bad, and we didn't know about any of that. So it seems like the actual shard that was left behind was the soul of the caster, which has essentially been used as a catalyst. So we don't know if we can really do anything with that currently. He also mentioned that the like goopy opalescent metal that we found was called Ioun, and it can be used for whatever, basically. And then we had some stuff moved into the Dax house. We went on to the dance competition where Daxius killed it.
Broke it down with some killer moves.
He basically just took the other dance competitors and arranged them into a pyramid, and then he danced them down into the floor. It was a pretty, one-sided performance, shall we say. And so then we celebrated. We took the rest of the night off and hopefully woke up the next morning.
Yes. I do remember one thing we appear to have, or that I just remembered, I forgot about.
Oh, yeah.
I think the reason that we got stuck in the conversation with Jean-Luc so long is because we spent like an hour arguing about whether or not we were going to tell the kid's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
That was the in-between time that I was like, I don't really remember what happened, but it felt like something happened.
And in true Gatecrashers fashion, I don't think we actually came to a solid conclusion.
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, if it's not positive, let's not do it. Because it'll be more work that way.
Yeah.
And she didn't pay us again, so fuck her. And her dead kid.
He's basically dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that argument, and yes, it was one side of, like, possibly endangering her more because she would possibly know something, and on the other hand of, like, that's his mother, and she probably has a right to know what the fuck happened to her, only child.
Yeah, that was the crux of it.
And I believe everyone left dissatisfied from that whole conversation.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, pretty much. Alright, so you guys went to bed in various states of intoxication and perhaps pride in your abilities or lack of pride in your choices in that night for the person who is not here and therefore cannot defend himself. Because, you know, robbing a very wealthy person at the most expensive hotel in town couldn't possibly have had consequences that would have come up a few sessions later.
Just like there were no consequences to the last time they did that.
Yeah. And at least I think everyone was in relatively decent shape. Fernix, when you went to sleep, it had definitely been a bit of a day for you. And in your sleep, you had heard a voice speak to you again, which is where we will be sort of segueing back into, basically focusing in. As you kind of feel yourself come to, and you got a decent, like, not hangover, as if more like you're actively drunk. Not like totally, like, you know, blackout, pissed out drunk. More like, you know, you got a decent buzz on, and it's been a pretty good night so far.
Yeah.
You, immediately after hearing that person say, "I knew I would find you here," you hear the sounds of, like, a busy room. People talking. You can hear music playing from somewhere in the distance. Some fucking prog shit that's gotten popular in the past couple of years. And you open your eyes and see somebody standing across the table from you. Tall, thin, dressed in a very starched uniform, gray in color, a lot of colors relating to their position, their rank, where they came from. But the person that's wearing it is probably, in a way, unfamiliar, and yet as your, you know, barely conscious mind comes to, it seems to be like, oh yeah, I know this asshole. The creature, the man, is probably about 6 foot tall, thin. It almost appears like his body is made out of the same kind of Ioun crystal. He's got 4 arms. He's a very svelte build to him. Very sharp features, kind of like horns that are drawn back against his head, and digitigrade feet. His top 2 arms are folded over his chest, and his bottom 2 are just like kind of like akimbo on his hips. And he's just looking to you with this, like, barely restrained just disappointment and maybe even, like, mild contempt. Around you is a bar room. You can see a lot of other of those creatures, people standing around drinking, eating. There's a pretty decent berth of, like, open space between you and everyone else.
Yeah, I just sort of, like, turn around, like, I'm assuming that he's looking at someone behind me. And is there anyone?
Nope. Most people, most of the others, and pretty much everyone kind of looks the same. They're the same kind of person, creature. Obviously much different in size, shape, even colorations, but more or less the same basic features. And no one is sitting. There's a weird amount of tables between you and the next person that is sitting anywhere.
Well, I suppose that makes one of us?
The man's eyes kind of narrow a little bit, and he's like, "Are you already that drunk? That you've forgotten? You know Father's pissed with you, right?"
That wouldn't be the first time.
No, it wouldn't, and that's half the problem. And he kind of, like, looks away in almost like a bit of disgust. And then he kind of looks back to you and says, "What will it take? You go into the Rangers program, and somehow you manage to get through the other side, nearly at the top of your class. I don't know if it was out of skill or simply despite everyone else around you. And you get onto the other side, and what's the first thing that you do? Beat the ever-loving hell out of 3 people in an alleyway."
Suppose they had it coming.
Whether they did or not, I don't know. All I know is that you're very, very lucky that Father covered up for you again. You know, it's getting embarrassing for somebody who's supposed to be that high up in the government, covering for the wayward child while he sends the other one to come chide him like mother.
Well, it doesn't exactly seem like he's treating you very well either.
Well, it was either me or his guards, and something tells me he wants to keep this a little bit quieter. Because stars only know that you managed to cause this fight because somebody happened to mention old Cole. And as he says that, there is a bit of almost sheer anger that comes up. There's no real connection in your mind initially, other than that is something that causes pain.
Then, pardon me.
Yes, the
Steely
campaign
boy.
kittens must climb.
I know. Just I would like to not be concentrating on keeping his balance too. Just well, can you I suppose maybe the drink has been getting to me, but Colm is well, a relative of ours, right?
He kind of looks at you a bit confused and says, "Ma, you must be 3 sheets to the wind. I'm honestly half surprised you didn't stand up and try to swing at me. You know, the one you were screwing for so long that Father absolutely hated that you brought home."
Oh, that one.
Yes, that one.
Well, I suppose I'm still a bit sensitive about it. It did seem awfully, sudden, everything that happened.
He steps forward a little bit, grabs the chair on the other side of the table that you're sitting in and sits down. He puts it, the top 2 arms up onto the table and just looks to you.
And take
So-
another swig of whatever is in front of me, if anything.
Oh yeah, no, there's 1 cup that's full of something, and 3 or 4 that are empty, and a few that are tipped over that are definitely.
And I'll be kind of swaying a little bit, slowly.
What the ever-loving hell is wrong with you? Is this another one of your little games? Just not going to be happy until you've chased absolutely every single person in your life away, including your only brother, who has, to be honest, stuck his neck out a few too many times for him.
I suppose I'm still really not over it.
Well, that is sort of why Father has sent me here. Now that you're through the program, and generally speaking, you're given a little more respect, considering what comes with graduating at the time of a Rangers class. He wants to, and I cannot believe he has suggested this, he wants you to take up a Pathfinder's position. There's a colony ship making its way out, maybe a few weeks now, and for some ungainly reason he thinks that pushing this sort of responsibility onto you might just be what it takes to get you to stop acting like a child.
Alright, at least I won't be a problem anymore.
That's the other thing, yes. He's rather certain that you can keep yourself alive, and if you take a swing at a couple of other stumble-down drunks in an alleyway, it won't be his problem anymore.
Well, Suppose it could be worse.
He kind of sighs again and turns around, kind of gesturing towards somebody standing behind a bar who just kind of gives a nod and starts pouring something.
Where did you say again?
From last that I read, it would be making for Alexis 9. A good couple decades in stasis, and unless we try out the skip reactor and hopefully it doesn't implode this time. That's coming out of my organization. I'm pretty confident that the design we have is going to stand up to the pressures. I mean, it held up the last couple of times in tests. And the company is getting rather antsy to make a little bit of a dividend on all their investments.
So I get to be your guinea pig as well.
Well, between
Lucky.
myself and father, you should probably trust me a little bit more, considering the amount of time that I've spent in university studying things like black matter. Or have you forgotten that too?
I know, it's just... You have to understand this is a lot to take in. And well, I've already taken a lot in tonight.
He kind of looks to the glasses and says, clearly.
Suppose...
With a lot of responsibility.
I think I can handle it.
You wouldn't necessarily be in charge of the colony ship. That would still fall to the prospective governor, but you'd be pretty high up there. Basically running their security and all their scouting missions. But I guess it would get you away from here. And something tells me even Colm would want you to move the hell on.
Is that what she would want?
It's better than getting stumbled down drunk every few days and getting into random bar fights with people whose lives you could easily take simply due to your own military training.
You know, maybe I should move on. Just so I can get distance from this place. From all of you.
Not the worst thing. As he kind of looks away to the other side, like the bartender comes over and puts a glass down, he says, "Thank you." And he just kind of hands him a piece of, like a thin piece of metal, and the bartender takes it and just walks off. I would say that they would say that it's being unfair to yourself, let alone everyone else around you. I know it hasn't been that long, less than a year now, but at some point, you have to wake up and think about something else. And I wouldn't see it as Dad sending you away. I would see it as him pushing you into the deep end of the pool and hoping that you swim.
Oh. However you put it. At least it'll be nice not to see your disappointed faces every now and again.
He gives a roll of his eyes, and to his right, your left, you both kind of hear the rumble of something moving off in the distance. Gives a bit, like the whole building, a bit of a rattle, glasses shake. Most of the people just reach out and grab their own cup to make sure it doesn't spill, but nobody really pays it any attention. Well, that'd be probably the latest of the bomb tests. Not my area of expertise, but Well, the company wants money, and there's always money in killing other people.
Of course. It's all about the money, isn't it?
You're old enough to realize that's generally speaking how this place runs. Only the strongest survive, only the intelligent and the wealthy rise to the top, and everyone else gets to fill in their place in society, whether that's cleaning floors, acting as cannon fodder, or working in the maintenance bays of ships that are so fucking large that the likelihood of them ever seeing the outside of them again is tenuous at best. You should just
That's
be
probably
happy
part
that
of the
you're
problem.
wanted in some sort of leadership position at all.
Wanted, yes. But by what?
By the government. And generally they're the kinds of people that can, if they felt like it, make death look like a vacation.
Or maybe it wouldn't be such a bad vacation.
Well, the alternative is entering into the Planeswalker program and hoping wherever they send you isn't teeming with things that want to eat you alive. Or, of course, take up Dad's position on the capital ship.
I'll take up this pathfinding position, but no matter how many things they build, they really think they're in charge of life and death? How egotistical can you get?
That's what they've been working towards. Better ships, better rifles, better bombs, better planes, better everything. Better bodies, even.
And yet, I can't bring her back.
Not if you continue to act like a child, you can't. No. You do realize you drove them off, right?
Sure. It's not as though there wasn't a reason.
Whatever. Look, that was all I came here to do. You can go around to the administrative building and talk with Dad second if you really want to look into this. Or report back to base and listen to whatever the Colonel has to tell you. We'll at least see you at graduation. Okay?
Alright. Be well.
He reaches out and takes like the small glass that he had ordered and upends the liquid into his very sharp mouth and puts it down and says, I still remember all the things we did when we were kids, running around playing like we were going to change the whole world and everything in it. That Dad would eventually keel over and we would inherit the board of directors from him. And here we are, what, 8 years later, and the old man is still ticking over like nothing's changed, and I'm trying to keep myself alive and not being sickened by radiation poisoning, and we're fighting with people in the streets. Isn't really the future I imagine us having.
You really think it's easy to know I can't change any of it?
We always at least have control over ourselves and our own actions. Think about that at least. He stands up, like pushing the chair back a little bit, and then obviously like pushes the chair back into the table and just kind of looks at you. You can see now like the burns on his clothes. While they're very neat and he has a lot of like items listing his rank and position as a scientist, You also see his name, Goran. Your only brother and the one that's eldest to you by about 10 years. And the burn marks are definitely... They're larger now that he's closer and sort of speaks to like the things that he's dodging on a daily basis. You don't remember him talking about a lot of his work, not because he thinks you wouldn't understand it, but there's certain things that you're allowed to tell him and certain things you're not allowed to tell him, and there are certain things he's not allowed to tell you. He looks to you almost kind of saddened a bit, and he goes to say something else and then thinks better of it and just kind of clears his throat up, stands up tall and says, "Just take care of yourself, please."
I'm trying to want to.
He then turns and makes for the door. As he leaves, it becomes significantly quieter in the room. Nobody around you has stopped talking, but it feels like the room is a lot bigger, and there's that sort of feeling of isolation and well, it's like looking around and seeing that everyone's giving you 15 feet of berth kind of goes. You would think at least by accident a few of them would come a little closer, but they don't.
I just kind of stared drunkenly down at the glasses, and I'm like, wait, have I seen this arrangement before? Sort of side-eye a little bit.
You look about, and the conversations continue. You see a few people kind of looking at you from the corner of their eye, and then everything seems to slow down and quiet and then stop. And as your face comes around to where you were looking across the table, you see another creature like you standing kind of at the bar, legs crossed, arms behind his head, looking right at you, and says, "I hit him. As soon as he came in and mentioned Colm, I hit him."
Who? Who did you hit?
My brother. And you're able to as your hands are up on the table, you can see that you only have one, and that it's
No.
yours.
What did he say?
He asked me if I was okay with driving everyone else out of my life, or if Colm was enough. And before I knew it, I was halfway across the table and had hit him straight in his face.
But it's your brother.
Maybe. He was still an asshole.
Brother's a... I guess I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I've seen this scene a few times, and I'm wondering why I'm seeing it again. And who the ever-loving fuck are you?
Wait, because I was... Okay. I look over I'm well, shit. And I'm I just... time out. I was thinking that I was supposed to be someone else in this dream, and so I was sort of just going along with everything, but... So then was I acting there?
Yes.
In your perception? Okay.
You were seeing a memory that I had a very fucking long time ago from my perspective, and it played out a whole fuckload better with you at the helm than it was with me.
Right. Well, In that case, why don't we start with names? And I'm going to have to write this down immediately after I wake up because this now has to be a dream. I'm Fernix. Nice to meet you.
Terex. And he kind of thumbs towards the door and says, "That asshole was Goran."
Right, your brother.
Yes.
So where... I'm sorry. What is happening? Where is this? What kind of ships are you talking about? What is a Pathfinder and that?
Where we are is a little dive hole bar near the Rangers outpost that I was trained at on Tiris. The ships that were mentioned were ones that travel from planet to planet, system to system, galaxy to galaxy. Big ones. Flying cities. Filled with people who the fuck knows if we ever see them again. Not that this society ever cared.
They do seem rather, like they wanted you out of here.
Well, I was a political embarrassment to my father, who was the head of the board of directors for one of the major mega corporations which controls the society. So yes, I'm certain he wanted his little fuck-up son to be out of the picture.
That's definitely not a good feeling to try to swallow down.
No, it really wasn't. And the audacity to send my brother to deliver that news too. He always was a fucking coward.
I did try to, well, rattle his cage a little bit, and he seems pretty cold for someone's brother, I have to be honest. I've never had one, but, well, the propensity of never seeing a member of one's family again, I would think that would be a little bit more of a reaction, and he just brushed it off.
Well, there was nothing he was going to do to change anything. When the military tells you to jump, you ask how high.
I suppose. Well, what... I suppose I'm at a bit of a loss still. So you were sent off to this system or galaxy, and then what happened?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of memories here. This is probably the strongest one that I have, and I can feel others sort of wandering around in the hallway, if you catch my drift.
Where is here exactly?
I don't know where is here. Because I'm pretty certain you're not referring to the room that we are presently standing in.
No, well, I suppose I'm trying to figure out where our perceptions are linking together. It's... If you've only got some awareness as far as your memories are concerned, then it's entirely possible that, well, you might be some sort of a thought construct remnant of Terex.
Possibly. It would explain why I only remember a few things here and there. Don't really have much of a frontwards and backwards, future and a past.
Right. It's really only a theoretical concept that I can compare to, but it does seem like, well, if this is about as far out as you remember, then there must be something significant about it.
Maybe. Might have been the last time I really saw a lot of people, and that's why it stuck on. Everything after that might have just been work.
Well, for a moment I thought it almost seemed like kind of an odd reflection of my own decision to embark on a pilgrimage.
Perhaps. Either way, I ended up far away from here, one way or another, by hook or by crook. I'm sure Father sent me off either through one of the portals or on a capital ship.
Hmm. Well, obviously, even if you didn't go willingly, they had plans otherwise, so I'm going to assume that you probably went and that somehow this meeting has happened, so it's I'm sorry that I was so overwhelmed, but it is nice to meet you.
You too, I suppose. I've never seen something like you.
He looks like kind of similar to me, and I'm like, what? I would say likewise, but I really thought just looked like a draken to me. Only well, the other one had more arms.
You would notice, like, everyone else, like, of his type do seem to have similar features. The forearms, kind of digitigrade legs. No tail, though.
Well,
But
but more. I suppose I can see the differences. Yes. It's quite a lot to absorb.
yeah, it kind of is. I'm not sure how much time we really have left. And he kind of, like, looks towards the doorway, which by now, like, the door has vanished. It seems to be just, like, a bit of a bright light, and you can kind of hear noises outside. I think the doctor's at it again, and the thief down the hallways. I think repeating that memory, too.
Thief. Well, what to ask in this situation? Is there any sort of methods that you have of producing life, I suppose, or were these Pathfinder ships supposed to go and colonize somewhere?
I think colonize is a rather pleasant way of putting it. Just generally show up, kill everything that lived there, and claim it as our own.
Well, some things don't really change, I suppose.
Don't really know. War never really changes. As for making life, well, we'll do it the biological way, or put it together in a lab, or create it artificially. Either out of what we're made out of, or out of metals.
And what are you made out of exactly?
He kind of looks to himself and says, he, like, steps forward, like, confused, and then kind of walks over, and as he gets closer to you, see, like, how much taller he is than you. Probably, like, 6.5 feet tall. And, like, he, like, goes over and, like, kind of reaches out with one of his larger hands and, like, touches your forehead a bit. And you feel, like, a bit of a zap, or, like, it's, like, almost like being poked by a pin, like, really quickly, or, like, getting a shot. And he draws his hand back and says, I guess you would call it Ioun.
Did you... You... Hmm... You know, it's not very nice to just poke around in someone's memories, I assume.
You first, I suppose.
I didn't really make any decision that... Wait, you did say Ioun, right?
That's what you apparently call it, yes.
considering that I pulled some of it out of a wall, I didn't really think I was intruding on a living or otherwise being's memories.
You're asking me, buddy. I've spent most of my life being trained to kill things.
I'm just really hoping I haven't encountered a stage of heavy metal poisoning that's led to me being in a comatose state at this point.
Well, as long as you didn't eat it.
Why the hell would I eat it?
I don't fucking know. I don't know what your people are like.
We have a
Well-
sudden flashback to when we first found it, and Garugamesh starts imagining himself eating it.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm not made of metal and just go around pounding back glasses of lead or whatever the hell it was that you were drinking yourself to death with over there.
Very high proof alcohol. We process it too.
Well, lovely. I prefer coffee myself.
Well, and he kind of... The clothes that he's wearing are much more like what your player would recognize as fatigues. Definitely, let's say, favors grays and blacks in colors.
Nice.
And the boots would be of the Jack variety, I suppose. And he kind of like rolls his sleeve back and looks to a watch on his wrist and says, "Well, I don't think there's too much time left. Something tells me if I want to play this little memory game or whatever have you. Something tells me I'll still be here."
Sure. And, well, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it, but I would like to at least try to get you some sort of information as far as the intervening time. I can't say that it'll be pleasant, necessarily, but regardless of whatever led you to this point, seems like it would almost be a shame not to try and find out.
Good luck if you can. I guess I can act as a little bit of a repository of knowledge for what little of it I have left.
Well, maybe this is a dream, actually. So hold on a second. I reach over next to my head and sort of imagine turning open like a keyhole or something to kind of open my my mind to the sky.
Okay.
And there's pretty much a little whitish kind of opalescent cord that appears, and I just sort of connect it over to him. Maybe that'll work. I don't usually do this sort of thing. Most of what I do is in the waking world, but if we can communicate even subconsciously, might be helpful.
Possibly. It's been a really long fucking time since I had some of these memories stirred up by something given life again, and it's been really quiet. Felt like it was being used to do something else in those however long it was.
Well,
Imagine it being hot.
I just sort of grin at him. That's a pretty accurate summary, yes. I think we'll probably get into it another time. Well, now I just want to be sure that I write all this down once I wake up. 'Cause it's quite a lot. And I'm having... Well, I'm shocked at how lucid all of this is. If this is really something brought on by some sort of exposure to some sort of dangerous element, well, I have to say it's a first.
I guess you'll find out then, huh? And he reaches down, grabs like the glass that his brother had drank, and like magically, obviously full again because it's a memory that seems to be replaying and replaying. And he says, "To whatever the fuck this is," and takes a drink, and you can kind of feel the scene melting away.
I just grab another one of the cups and I go to drink it. And once I do drink it, I put it down on the counter and I slam my head into it to try to jolt myself awake.
Yep, and by the time that happens, it's deep breath, covered in sweat, lying back in the bed in the Valier chapter house.
You look to your left, Garugamesh is in the bed with you.
Just take out my rapier, go for the heart. No. Yeah, I just sort of like scramble out of bed and start reaching for the parchment, while also like peeking out the window to try to see what time it is. Because I'm like, I better get this down before I have to meditate. Fuck.
It's early. Sun is up, but it's pretty early. Probably between 7 and 8.
Yeah, and just a lot of like muttering and scratching sounds from whatever room he's in.
Okay. Vic, you had slept. I think everyone here had slept in the chapter house, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think Giro did as well, but we'll say that he'll end up. I mean, knowing John, he'll probably want to do a little bit of work beforehand, so he'll be a little busy with that kind of stuff, anyways. While you guys do your own thing for a little bit. You sleep pretty well. I guess by the time you wake up, 'cause I know you and Sven are also pretty early rise. I think Daxius is the only one that seems to sleep in later than like 9.
Unless someone needs me up, yeah.
Yep. You wake up and hear kind of a hey,
Sits and looks around.
I mean, the room's not big. Like, it is not fucking big. There is nowhere another person could be hiding. But still you hear kind of, and you can definitely feel like something else is here, and you just hear, I think the dragon-shaped one stopped muttering in his sleep.
I'm just gonna keep looking around. Does it sound like it's in the room, or is it like outside the door?
It sounds like it's in your own head.
Just kind of. Hello?
On the floor.
Just looks down.
So where you had deposited the hammer last night, it is still there, although it's somewhat larger and has a much longer handle. Much more decorated with like a swirl pattern going down the leather that wraps the handle, with a much heavier looking, like, paw-shaped pommel at the end. And it's like, it's got a bit of glows to the eyes, which the hammer's face, like the actual wolf's face, is a little bit larger. And it just, obviously, like, it physically doesn't look at you, but you just hear in your head, yeah, that's right. On the floor, where you left me.
Just kind of lifts it up. I assume he would probably put it with the hammer side, or the head side down.
It's fallen over onto its side, but yeah.
Picks it up, unhooks it from the belt if it's still attached, and just kind of leans it up against the wall or the dresser or whatever's nearby. So, I suppose that means you can talk directly now?
To people's minds if I feel like it.
Just anyone or just me?
They're close enough, damn near anyone. I generally try not to talk to a lot of other people, though.
I can understand the sentiment. Can I ask well, I suppose we've been acquainted in a sense, but perhaps some more proper introductions are in order. Do you have a name?
Said you asked for a name.
Yep.
It's like quiet for a bit, and you kind of get that feeling like something being mulled over, and just says, "All I remember is somebody calling me Fenrir. God, where I come from, some kind of monstrous wolf. Kind of works."
Yes, I believe I read something like that before. It's Land of the Giants or something, if I remember correctly.
Last I remember, yeah. Probably all theirs now.
You'll have to forgive me if I'm a bit slow. I'm quite confused about this situation. It was not something I was expecting.
Well, I wasn't expecting to be pissed out in the hands of a bunch of little grangly monsters and then carried halfway across a continent by somebody. And yet here we are.
Right. Well, it's just no one else is there to see him, but Vic is just like visibly confused. So, I guess that means you've been conscious this whole time.
Conscious is a bit generous. You ever sleepwalk?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like seeing and feeling and hearing things, but not really understanding what's going on. Just feelings.
Well, I'm going to be quite honest here. I'm not quite sure what we should be doing now. I mean, I'm happy to continue carrying you, if you'd like. But...
Well, I ain't got legs, do I?
Well, that's what I'm just asking, if there's something else you would prefer. I was not expecting my, my weapon to start, talking to me.
Yeah, they never do.
So, you've done this before, then?
Of course. Somebody made me. I'm pretty sure that someone is pretty dead now, if I remember correctly.
Well, the year is, 1483, if that means anything to you.
Not really, no.
I will say that, from the research I've done and, inspection of your craftsmanship, I'd say it's probably accurate to say that it's been quite a while.
Well, considering you've taken me past not one, but two very large cities full of humans, something tells me that it's got a lot better, assuming I'm on the same place that I came from. And don't ask me about languages, because whatever you're thinking is what I can hear.
Fair enough. I figured
Where
that
I
would
came
probably
from,
be...
there's nothing but snow and mountains and ogres and trolls and giants and witches.
somewhere in the north, I presume. Perhaps
Maybe.
would the name, the Vulcarian Empire mean anything to you?
No.
Must have been quite a while back.
An empire of who?
Humans,
Holy
Lots of-
fucking shit.
yes, it's, I wouldn't say that they are 100% dominant, but they're one of the more primary races of, at the very least, this continent,
Well,
along with
same
some
fucking
elves and a
place.
few others.
They've done real goddamn well for themselves.
Yes, so from the way that my hometown would say it, they bred like rabbits and sort of exploded. I'm not quite that old, but they've done well enough for themselves, I suppose.
You have human blood in you, that I can tell.
Yes. Half. At least.
Yeah, where I
Well.
came from, there weren't a lot of people left, and the last thing I remembered was rolling down the side of a hill, going for a cliff and seeing what remained of what people had built burning in the distance.
Is this a large-scale calamity type situation, or just a bit more local?
It was the only town of people that I knew about, and it was all going up like firewood.
Hmm. I'd need to do a bit of research to try to nail that down. In any case, well, I presume you aren't looking for any sort of change in the current relationship.
Well,
So,
as long as we start stoving in the heads of people who fucking deserve it. That's a nice thing I'm able to do. I can kind of sniff out people who, well, let's say fall into that criteria. As long as they're standing close enough, I guess.
it's got a similar trick. I think I know what you're talking about.
If there's anything, your friends are fine, even if they do dumb things and act like pricks.
Oh no, I'm not worried about them. Well, not in that sense, anyway.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Other than that, no. I guess at this point, it's safe to assume wherever the fuck I came from is long gone.
Probably correct. Might be some. I know some of the elves can be particularly long-lived. Perhaps we'll find someone someday. But, this is very strange. I've no doubt that I have questions and a desire to learn if you'd be willing, but I really don't know where to go from here. Perhaps we'll need to make you a new scabbard.
Yeah, probably. If you could put me head up, that'd be real nice.
Yes, I fashioned something for that colon that I purchased. I could probably figure that out as well. Well, suppose it's about time for my morning prayers anyway. I guess we can head out and see what the day brings us.
Well, I guess I'm gonna take a nap again.
Alright.
See if anything
Well, I might-
exciting happens later.
I'll probably have to talk about this to my compatriots, but feel free to not chime in if you're indisposed.
I won't talk to them unless they want to talk to me.
Fair enough. I guess probably getting close to sunrise at this point, so I'll go out and start doing his prayers and morning rituals and stuff. Just very, very confused.
Sven, you would probably be awake after this. You should be at least relieved to know that you wake up and more or less not much has changed. You know, except for, you know, the fame part.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
Okay.
you kind of get that feeling in your, like, as you wake up, like your dreams were a bit odd. You dreamed of the dance competition a lot, like, seemed to replay here and there while the background eats your entire face. Because you're,
Mm-hmm.
it's dark in your room in the background in the stream. Wants to eat your
I'm
face.
sorry.
But you definitely get that feeling of, God,
Need
look at
lights
these
and
fucking
candles.
assholes. I should kill them all. Look at these decadent pricks. Such a juicy little targets.
That's concerning.
Yeah. And you
Oh,
kind
now
of
that
wake up
light.
with that,
What the fuck?
with a bit of, yeah, like you wake up and you have like it's like listening to an echo kind of vanish into the background and a bit of a taste on your mouth, but
Why
nothing
is
has
my
changed.
camera being this weird? I'm doing a seance, you guys.
Yeah, it's decided either you're too well lit or you're not well lit enough. There's
Trying.
no perfect balance here.
Alright, let me arrange these candles.
Using a Ouija board to try to contact your dead camera quality.
And I'm still fading into the background. What the fuck?
You get
You
the
might need
ghost
to-
to hold up some of those circular mirrors.
Might need to get like a green screen and just like pin it to the wall behind you or something.
I guess.
Yeah.
Alright, I go downstairs and I start the day normal. Kinda unsettled, but weird dreams happen.
And I guess Daxius, you wake up whenever you feel like you wake up, and you at least feel pretty proud. Like you did some good stuff last night, and I mean, besides almost being drunk, almost immediately drank under the table by the dwarf. But,
Oh yeah, no, I tried
the Sven.
to outdrink a dwarf and a Sven. I like to imagine Daxus doesn't wake up from his own volition. It's more like the sun gets to a point where it like moves so it shines in his eyes and he's like, ow, fuck. And he just lays in bed for a solid like half hour before getting up. He's proud, but he feels awful.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yep.
And I think moving my beanie helped
Yeah. No, it seems to keep you solid
All
for now.
for now. Yeah. Okay. So. Yep. You guys. I guess variously end up in the common room eventually.
Yeah. Sven might be
Yeah.
the first downstairs, actually. I'd like to be chatting up some rando.
Okay. Yeah. You
Just chatting.
end up talking
then-
to the mailman, who like is like trying to get away from you, like because he's like, I gotta go back to my room. I gotta go back to my. And you're just continuing to talk.
And then as soon as someone like Daxius shows up, immediately like stop caring about the mailman.
Yep. Then he turns and leaves. Like, thank gods.
Morning, Sven.
Good morning, Daxius. Did you sleep well?
Yes, but also no.
Well, is this something you wish to talk about?
No, I just drank a little too much. It happens. You know.
I see, I see.
Ugh.
Hey, I suppose that'll do it. Have you seen Gilgamesh, speaking of?
I'm not his babysitter, so fuck if I know.
I suppose that's fair. Would you care to join me for a drink?
In first thing in the morning? I mean, you're speaking my language, but
Aren't most drinks alcoholic at this time period? Because
little
something to do with bacteria.
Yeah, at least a little bit.
you'd like. Well, I guess it depends on how prevalent it is, but like even the
I guess
The
it still would
Greeks
be
would be
weird
like-
to say, join me for a drink.
you'd like water the wine, but only a little bit, because if you just like guzzled the wine, they were like, why the fuck would you be so wasteful? From what we understand, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not gonna say no.
All right, I'll get Daxius some nice wine. Not alcoholic, but I'll pay for good stuff.
Isn't it free here?
Regular stuff is. If you want like some higher shelf stuff, you pay for it.
Right, right.
I think Daxius deserves it today.
How much does this cost?
I wave my hand. Great, how much does it cost?
A glass of, are we talking like
Real good
highest shelf
stuff.
wine?
Yeah.
I believe there actually is a thing for that. I believe, is it a gold a glass?
Oh, that's nothing. We vibe with that.
Oh, and I'll get some eggs as well if you. I mean, I'm sure you have a cook somewhere here.
Yeah, you're able to order regular food.
I mean, what are we cooking? Are we?
I'll order the chicken. I'll order the chicken pot pie.
All I'm asking is,
Oh,
do you need anything blue?
Abadai.
It's fucking stupid.
That went right over my head.
It's fine.
I'll pretend I
It's
got
Probably
it.
good. It's probably good that it did.
Fair enough.
we're having a
Imagine
good
some blue
breakfast.
aliens.
Ah, yes.
Wait,
My
hold on,
favorite.
Joel. You don't know I'm Blue Abadia Abadai?
Yes, I know what that is.
Okay.
Unless it was something else. I thought it was something else. Whatever.
Don't tell me you don't know
Usually-
Crazy Frog.
Crazy. I was crazy once.
They put me in a frog.
A rubber frog.
Because my character does alchemy. It's meth. I was joking about cooking meth.
Ah, right. No, that is meth. I blanked on that.
You blank on many things, Joel.
You're right. I'm sorry I'm not a drug addict yet.
We'll get you there one day.
One day.
It's always good to have goals.
All right. Dak, unless Dak says you want to do something, we're just having a good breakfast and
Yeah,
talking about the
yeah.
dance.
Just some casual light conversation in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I'll after a little bit, I'll kind of scoot closer.
Put your hand on my thigh.
Yep. Just Could I ask you for a little favor?
Imagine we drop that on the party that secretly Sven and Daxius have a relationship.
No.
The entire time.
No one ever knew.
Natari was a distraction.
The two stealthiest characters in the party, they can get away with anything.
I don't think
They
Sven's
just
very
sneak off.
stealthy.
Sure. Daxius could make him invisible, so.
Yeah. You just give you some vanish.
I guess.
I know.
Technically, Gilgamesh would be the second stealthiest.
Which is funny.
Probably.
That's true.
And they already have a relationship, so.
That's right.
Look, I know
Sorry,
the
what
kind
were you
of
saying?
I know the kind of favors you and Atari know, but that's not what I was implying. We had the conversation as a group to that the person that Ash wants me to yoink the book from.
Is?
Well, they're coming to town soon. I kind of look around, just not wanting to use too many words.
Yes, and?
It was only a theory that it was the person that is going to be in our company. But I'm not certain. And I wanted to possibly ask someone in the Valier Society. However, if I was to go around asking questions, especially if I asked Talia or someone who would know,
You won't have to say anymore, or I'll figure it out.
thank you. I appreciate this.
Is there anything else you need of me?
No, if I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Right, well then, for now let's just enjoy the wine and the good breakfast.
Is there anything you need from me?
He pauses, thinks about it, and then shakes his head slowly. No, I don't think so. Not yet. Nothing that I can think of, but I'll keep the favor in my back pocket.
Well, I owe all of you one. I don't know how clear I made that to you specifically. Talked to a few others about it, but look, I'm grateful to have met you, all of you, so anything you need, just ask.
I give a slight nod.
Well, that's enough sappy shit for one day.
Time to get drunk.
Hell yeah.
8 a.m.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
You
Like
can't
classy
start.
people.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Exactly.
Unless you just continue on until the next day.
That's right. Just don't sleep. The alcohol will take care of that.
That's what you just don't sleep.
Yeah, just get some Coke to wake you up. You should be totally fine.
Just monitor the blood pressure. Make sure you don't go over like 160.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
You want to keep it at like a minimum 150 though, just so you know. You're awake. You're ready to go.
Yeah. You know, that absolutely gotta be on point.
So anyway,
Did y'all just like annihilate every bit of food and drink in the
Oh,
Dax
yeah.
house?
Oh,
So-
we're at the, we're not at the Dax house.
Oh right, we're at the chapter house.
Mm-hmm. So you guys would be down there too,
Eventually, at least.
eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think-
mean,
I'm
was
pretty
just
much just saying like we're waiting till they come down.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
what I'm waiting for.
Vic has to get up before dawn for the spell preparation, so he'll
Right.
probably have been up, and maybe he'll have gone to a leatherworking shop to get a new scabbard.
Since they pray every day, it's probably going to be another at least 15 minutes before they come down here, so we got time to kill.
yeah, I'm gonna have to come down late because I'm gonna sit there and write down everything that I can from that dream because I'm like, oh, when I wake up I'm like, oh, I better not forget all that shit, and then that is where I'm like, okay, so that eats into the normal time that I pray, which is 9 o'clock, and then it's totally cool. We're good as long as I pray and I have spells after that, because it was something important, so it's allowed to be interrupted. And then an hour past that.
How much do we want to save for this scabbard? Like 5 silver?
Yeah, it's fine.
I think it falls into the negligible category.
Kinda, yeah.
Unless you want to get something specifically fancy.
Or I think there's like a combat scabbard, but it's also an exotic weapon for some horrifying reason.
That's like saying a combat gun. Like, aren't scabbards meant for combat?
I don't know the logic. I just know that they're like, you put a razor blade on the side of this thing and now it's an exotic weapon, and I'm like, all right, good to know.
No, it's martial.
That's
Oh, it is.
very
Oh,
dumb.
thank goodness. I'm
Yeah,
glad
it's,
that I didn't remember that right.
It's an improvised weapon though, which might need something. It doesn't matter. It's a scabbard. It's literally just a scabbard with a knife on the side.
Yeah, like it's. You may as well just unsheath the weapon
Wait a minute.
and use it.
But it also says that the damage type is bludgeoning. So it explicitly calls out that the scabbard has a sharp blade on the outer edge. But I guess you use that part as the handle because it deals bludgeoning damage.
Use the. You gotta grab tight, see onto the blade, and so that it cuts into you, and then that way you won't drop it. So you hit them with the blunt side.
Yeah, you want it to scab over onto your hand, so it's
That's
it's
why
like
they
stuck.
call it. That's why it's a scabbard. That's where the name comes from.
Yeah, it's like a scabbard, except it doesn't function like a scabbard, and you have to hold the weapon anyway.
The dumbest weapon you could possibly conceive of.
It's like spiked boots, except the spikes are on the inside.
Yes.
The pain
Anyway.
keeps you alert, and that's how you don't slip.
Just in case you want to be a Franciscan monk.
And you can use your tears to clean the edges. Anyway, Vic would probably walk in after a little while. It's the new hammer on the back. New.
Yeah, no.
Hi, Vic.
Good morning.
There. Good morning. It's good to see you all awake. Can't tell
What
though.
was
Appears
today, by the way, Gray?
Hmm?
What is today the event?
That's the
the arena.
Arena.
Ooh. How mad do you think Garugamesh would be if we did that without him?
Insanely.
He'd probably kill us.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah. Well, he killed one of you because he can get to you in real life.
Yeah. No, he does know where I live.
There's been multiple sessions where you were in the same house together.
Yeah, before the stream. Yeah, he would be over there. But I'm not going to turn my camera on, or the filter on, or off. Anyway. Yeah, so, I've had a bit of a strange development with the hammer.
More strange shit.
Yes, well, it can talk now.
Oh?
Wonderful.
Yes, he might be asleep,
Are you-
but
Are you being serious?
either
Yeah.
that or... I mean,
I
it
know
also...
it's strange to ask someone so serious as you if they are being serious, but...
No, your
being
question
serious?
is not unwarranted. He just sort of takes it off. Well, it's as you can see, it's grown by about 8 inches a foot, perhaps.
Holy shit, it has.
It happened overnight, and when I woke this morning, we had a conversation. So,
You might
well, I
want to
can't.
have Fernix look at that.
Unless he probably would be the one to talk to. But well, we had sort of gotten the impression that there was some sort of intelligence there, and well, we were right. He
Well,
might be taking a nap.
Can it hear us?
Yes, I believe it's always been able to hear us to some extent.
Wonderful. I'm sure it knows a lot of things that... You know what? I'm not even going to think about it.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Just would hate for that to get stolen, and then it spills everything we've been talking about.
Wouldn't worry about that either.
So is it like sentient? It has its own emotions. Is it on our side?
Yes, I think so. I mean, it's.
I think so.
I'm reluctant to speak for it, but I don't know. I didn't ask. But it's a unique situation.
No.
I believe that the term it used was that it was fine following us around and keeping the same arrangement so long as we were giving it the opportunity to smash the heads of some undesirables. At least well, of the less than kind and well-meaning variety, specifically, as we've been doing.
My question is if it's sentient, does it want something itself, or is it just is what it wants just to crush heads?
I think that is what it wants. That's what I asked as well, but it seemed aloof to any specific goals at the moment, but perhaps we'll be able to get some more clear answers later. And I assume that it's still asleep because it's not talking right now. But, well, I'm sure it can hear us, and if it remembers this, you're welcome to correct me as needed. So.
Do you happen to know who or what this thing considers to be people who deserve it?
I think we have a very similar idea. Don't, I suppose, evil? In its most abstract, non-specific form.
I see. Well, I am hesitant about much of this, but perhaps it is a boon? These things can often be very dangerous, though. I would still be careful of it.
Oh, I don't doubt you, but I'm not particularly worried.
Don't do that.
If anything, it's,
No.
well, it's been what, it's been telling me what it wants this entire time. Been telling all of us to some extent. Do you remember when the, Hobgoblin, they acquired it, and, during the fight with, I believe her name was Seta, she attempted to use it, and it very clearly indicated that, it was not a desirable course of action.
I see.
It burnt our hands quite bad. That's where we first acquired it. So, that's, well, in addition to that, I've been getting impressions, and, well, I could feel it being satisfied by certain things that we had been dispatching. When it was directly involved in any case. So.
It
Wow.
was still warned to be very careful of this thing. It's these things are dangerous. They could be incredible, but it's also impossible to know their true intentions and goals.
I do
Sure.
agree with Sven, though, to be fair, I don't really tend to trust anyone that I first meet. But if you believe that they're on our side, then I believe in your judgment.
I think that I agree.
Yes, your concerns are warranted and heard, and I will be the first person to let you all know if something begins to go wrong.
Alright, well, any other fuckery happened last night, or is that the end of our morning, oh no, here's how our lives are going to hell even more now? It's like a morning routine that we have.
That's the moment Fernix walks down.
Yeah, just
Looking
Just
he
like
did a
shut-
fucking huge line.
shuffling like a like actually kind of small stack of parchment between his hand and his tail. Oh, I'm downstairs now. I don't even remember opening the door.
Good morning, Fernix. You had a long night?
Fernix is crazy, this can't be good.
He just like looks over at Sven, like staring past him.
You all right?
Coffee. I think I need some coffee. And he just puts
Same
the
here.
papers down like gently on the table, almost as though it looks like he's like not sure if they're gonna just fall through it or not. And then just goes over and starts making coffee like honestly, pretty quickly.
Seems that something has definitely happened.
Next time I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Kind of whispers to the rest of the group. Let's perhaps give him a moment to collect his thoughts.
The Fernix. No, I'm kidding.
Just jumps up. Yeah, he like gets out, I guess, just one of the flasks that he has, and like puts some water in there by like getting like the cube that he made, like the corner of it in there, and then saying the command word and doing all that, and then just comes over and is like just corks it and like puts it down on the counter and just stares at it. Okay.
Something happened.
We're all awake down here, right? This isn't a dream.
Oh, we're missing Grugamesh, but yeah.
I
Are
looked over
you
my
like?
stuff, I say,
Are you on
suppose I
something?
can't truly test or prove whether it is or not, but I don't think it is.
Did you just ask if I was on something?
Yeah, you're like tweaking out really badly.
Well, I do want to explain, but
Okay, take your time.
the first thing is that I experienced a very lucid dream last night, and I had to write it all down here. So that
Lucky I
delayed.
barely get those.
Yes, it was very unusual, and it involved a person named Terex, and well, it just sort of like slides it over to the left. I guess Vic's probably over there, and it's like you can page through that if you want. I tried to write down absolutely everything that happened, so I'm sorry that there's some corrections. It's a bit messy, but
No. Just start looking through some of the pages.
5 minutes later.
yeah. I explained the dream that I had as far as Terex and everything, and all that, and definitely explained that I have no idea what its relationship is to ours, and that I'm like, this could be just some unrelated stuff that I'm just hallucinating, but it all seemed real to me.
Fernix, do you remember the can't remember which of the two encounters it was. And I suppose our dimension hopping friend would be this as well. The clothing you described that the soldiers were wearing. They did not seem, at the very least, somewhat similar in style to both let me get the name here.
Oliver's?
Oliver, yes. Some of that, and there's a few of the shadow creatures that fought.
Couple less arms, but I can see what you mean. It's it's an article of clothing that covers the whole body.
General, yes, but
Like a robe?
It's a more there's legs on it. It's sort of like if you had a shirt and pants all in one, but then also connected with well, actually I didn't get to see what it was.
Robe. That's what the robe is. Yes?
Well, it's got legs on it like pants. And I just like take out another piece of parchment and I'm like, where is, yeah, like this. Sketch it out real quick.
Robes with pants. That's strange.
Well, they had 4 arms was the other thing where I
4
was
arms?
yes. Really hoping that nobody here was
Wait,
trying to be
The robes had 4 arms, or the person inside of them?
no the people.
So
That's
they
even
were also-
stranger. Actually, Gray, is that so strange? Isn't there a race with 4 arms? Or no?
So Hawagan?
I don't. I don't know if they're in your setting or not.
The Sahuagin, yeah, they are. Give me a knowledge.
I feel like Sven would know of them.
Yeah, I'm
If
gonna,
it's
I'm gonna
knowledge
say
anything,
that
I'll
you
help.
recognize the name, and then you're like, oh yeah, those are things that have 4 arms. You also recognize that they're sea people.
I think monstrous humanoids might be nature, but I could be misremembering.
Sahuagin, yeah. Yeah, that definitely passes. Yeah,
Why not?
you know the name, you know their kind of vague build. That they're generally malicious little bastards.
I'll describe them and then ask Fernix if this is what he was talking about.
No. Made out of metal.
Metal.
Apparently made out of Ioun, which is
Well,
the tenuous link that I have to any of this being more than a very, a very real seeming flight of fancy.
did they appear to be made of Ioun in the memory, or was it just the dreamlike representation of them afterwards?
He sort of poked my mind and then told me that that was what they were made out of.
Well, I could be misinterpreting something, but it seems that perhaps if my thoughts are similar to that of our other stone-based situation, where things that were not stone at some point became part of the stone as well through magical means.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case. I'm just trying to put together the pieces.
There were a couple of other things of note, in particular, other individuals that were apparently in there. I think the doctor and the thief, or something like that. You mentioned them being down the hall.
Well, yeah, that's that would perhaps indicate that the iron stones that you had acquired were from multiple sources and multiple entities who were either always iron or turned into iron.
Right.
So,
Did you perhaps happen to write all this stuff down?
a giant stack of papers in
Look,
Fenrir.
I look over at Sven. You know what? You almost got me there. That was pretty good. I was about to be like, oh no, I hope I didn't just dream all of this and pinch myself and everything.
Pass
Yes.
the stack of papers over to Sven.
I tried my best to put every detail in there, but well, I guess I do actually remember it pretty well now, come to think of it.
I'll look over them if he allows me.
Yeah. Just sitting there still looking like you probably would if you were like coming into a room and not sure if anything in it was real for the first few minutes.
Well, this is very compelling, but why?
I'm assuming because we made contact with the Ioun, it's the only thing that really links the things I experience to us now. And we did just come recently into contact with it.
Yes, I assume that was the description of this Terex being rather hot. I assume this is the ion we found in the
Yes, I
fireplace.
wasn't making a commentary.
No, I assumed as much. But if this
Else I
was
would
the
have kept
one
that
that
to myself.
if it was the one that we pulled from the fireplace, then perhaps there's another perspective inside the one that we'd taken from the temple. Maybe that's
Right.
what he's referring to.
And for all I know, joining the two pieces could have been what prompted this in the first place.
Perhaps.
There was a day between when we acquired the first piece and the second, so I suppose that's my best hypothesis for now, but I'm not banking much on it. I have no idea how any of this works. I just was, well, I was kind of remembering that time that I heard about the professor who succumbed to mercury poisoning and just hoping I hadn't secretly gone insane and was telling you all to just have another glass of laudanum in the morning or anything like that while I was experiencing all of that. So it's been a fun morning.
I can imagine. Perhaps, maybe get a bit of a stronger container for the Ioun, just in case.
Yes.
Unless, of course, you wish to try to attune further.
Well, that being said, maybe a lead-lined box wouldn't be the worst investment in the world.
We
I
do
think
have
we're probably-
the lead line barrel.
Oh, right. Well, I suppose we can do that.
I bought it specifically for this purpose because we keep needing lead line containers.
I'm willing to put it in there just so, well... The one thing that does come to mind is this is the unworked Ioun, and it's not something that we've seen here, well, I suppose now I would say within the last nearly millennium. So the only other people that would have come into contact with it would be from other lands. So the lead seems like a good precaution because if they're powerful enough to try to view us from a distance based on only that information, they're probably powerful enough to come here and take it if they want it.
Isn't that a terrifying thought?
I've already sort of done that with the Sharon.
Right. And, well, I have no idea why it's like this, but since none of the unprocessed Ioun has ever made its way outside of their borders in so long, I can only assume that if there's anyone that's aware of whatever information is really stored in these things, they've been keeping it to themselves.
Perhaps that's what the dwarven fellow was looking for.
Oh, it's entirely possible.
What was his name again?
What's his name?
Warren
Is that-
Gundelson.
Right.
Well, he was looking for the Ark.
Well, he might have ended up running into this, or is being directed by someone who knows what's really going on. It's, don't tell any of our associates that I said this, but a lot of military types seem to be the type that you point at something and then they go and get it and pat them on the head and they're very satisfied no matter what they had to do in the process.
A dog looking for a treat from its master.
Which is very good when you point at them at something that needs to no longer exist, but, well, I don't typically think of 600-year-old artifacts that way. Or further.
It was that important, I think. Perhaps someone would have come more directly instead of just sending some foot soldier.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yes.
We don't know anything about this Gundelston fella.
Right. I'd much rather we didn't have to deal with him, but I feel as though the past conflicts of the church seem bound to occur once again. It is, after all, the exact same pieces in motion.
Then is just drinking and listening.
Oh, right, the coffee.
I
Yeah.
didn't say that to remind you.
Well, I just assume he saw you drinking, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I did. I was doing a thing," and goes and gets that.
You mentioned not being certain if this vision of yours meant anything, but after the Gauntlet and going to the Forgotten Crypt and I don't believe this was an accident. Something I've had suspicions for a while, but this just kind of proves that something bigger than us is watching us. Whether that be the gods, spirits, or something greater beyond that we don't understand or can't even possibly understand. We have eyes on us.
Oh man, imagine if this campaign turned into a Starfinder campaign.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, we'll just throw in some Shadowrun for good measure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have you guys make like 5 other character sheets in like 5 other fucking systems.
Yeah.
That won't be a
Make sure-
problem at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been looking for excuses to play GURPS anyway.
Fucking Christ.
I don't believe there are such things as coincidences.
So do I.
Well, so many pieces, and yet what the puzzle could be is still obscured.
Yes. I assume we're not all dying of some sort of horrible magical disease that's as of yet undiscovered, so
One can hope.
Somehow I have a bigger headache now than when I woke up.
it is quite a lot.
Yeah,
You absorb
it is
all at
quite
once.
a lot. Every day is a lot. Every day there's new fucked up information.
I felt as though the cold situation was the Colm situation rather was a little tenuous, so I didn't want to go on that. But what the fuck even is any of that? Because I have a general idea of what they were, but it's this guy Tarek was really drunk.
Ah, wonderful.
I assume his mental capacity wasn't at 100% at the moment. That whatever that is.
Well, if he's a diehard alcoholic, he might be at his best when he's drunk.
I wouldn't know. It's something I had only touched on in my college years for even a couple of months, but just didn't like having to go piss all the time.
Yeah, that's the one annoying part.
It really hampers your productivity. Other than, being blackout drunk.
I feel like we may need to set some sort of self-imposed limits on how much you all are drinking every single night. Because I think...
You're not my mom. I can drink as much as I fucking want.
What?
Immediate problem.
The immediate hostility seems to be part of the problem. See, I'm just making a small suggestion, and now you're yelling at me.
What?
What? No one is yelling! No, I'm kidding.
Glenn stands up. Mommy, Daddy, stop fighting!
Every single other member of the party starts beating the shit out of Vic.
And meanwhile, the whole fucking bar is like, what the fuck is this Benny Hill nonsense?
Rugamesh makes a guest appearance just to beat up Vic.
Yeah.
I just simply am at a loss because it's really only been a couple of days this week, and I felt like I was loosening up a little bit.
I don't mean to judge, but you also have been drinking heavily every single day since we got back.
Don't listen to Vic. You're doing fine. Having more alcohol is never a problem.
Well, I mean, I was.
Don't listen to him. I'm sorry.
Well,
I need to stop
don't!
Look, it's
I don't
our
have a
last
problem.
chance.
I can stop whenever I want.
Yeah, I can.
I'd hardly say a week of celebratory drinking constitutes a habit.
Well,
It's not as
Sorry.
though I have a barrel of ale or anything.
Shiftily looks back and forth. Sven does.
Flashback to the keg of ale that is in the Vardo that Daxius bought for the
That's
road.
just
I thought I bought like a thing of. Was it ale? I think it was like whiskey or wine. It was something.
We
I
have
think it was
2
ale.
barrels of alcohol.
I don't mean to tell you. It's not my place to tell you how to live your life. That's to anyone. Just
It's
it has the potential to be destructive if gone too far.
I've
Nick,
done destructive.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. Is this potentially something you've learned from your elven parents?
Well, only one of my parents was elven, but they also were not. We didn't have a lot of alcohol.
Sounds like a very elven belief. I've not met one person who alcohol was a problem for. It was simply the life around them, and the alcohol comforted them.
Right. I had about a month or so where the store down the street had some cheap vodka, so I stocked up and drank my way through all of my classes and skirted by with just about below average marks, but I was having the time of my life for a bit of it until I realized that I didn't really remember the last class that I had gone to, and it was just sort of like, I got sick of it.
Well, as long as you all are comfortable with where you're at. Just
I can assure you it doesn't take very much to get me, well, on the floor.
I do appreciate you looking out, Vic, and this is just the last chance we're gonna have for a while. Because at the end of this week, we're gonna be going on the road again soon. Last
and I'll only have 20 gallons of alcohol to take with us.
That was
What are
more.
you talking about this? How long are we going to be? We might want to get more alcohol.
He's got a
Well,
point.
I think we're fine.
To not answer your question, if we're planning on head to Lunabrook next, it's, I believe, a little over a week's travel.
I don't plan on going through that keg in a week, and I don't plan on going through that keg within the next few months. It's more just.
You speak for yourself. We've got many mouths to quench. Is it quench if it's liquids?
Intoxicate?
Yeah.
well,
I just thought it'd be a nice little addition to make the time on the road a little less boring.
as
I'm
long
not
as
judging.
nobody's liver explodes.
Though I will say that barrel you purchased, I feel that having it sit in the heat is not doing many favors.
Oh, right. Yes, it could explode.
It could.
Potentially.
What the explosions in his dream were.
It does a
The
slash
bar-
cut, and all of a sudden you see the bar's roof just explode as a fucking 120 gallons of liquid just goes flying up into the air like a fucking bomb spray.
Because it
Salt
was
vinegar.
slightly warm outside.
Yeah, because it was slightly warm outside.
Well, if it's inside the Vardo, which is being shown on all day, it's like leaving a child in a hot car.
Kind
Except the child is like 40 gallons of alcohol.
At least it's not metal. It's not metal.
No, but it is right. It is right next to the lead box, which is metal.
Yep.
Also, I think the
Grace,
Varda
like-
would be insulated like properly.
Yeah, probably.
It was a pretty fancy Vardo. Well, not like super fancy, but like it was not like the lowest quality.
It's a nice Vardo.
Yeah.
It was like, what,
It's a
1,000,
nice
2,000?
used Vardo.
What is the enchantment on it?
No, we didn't
the
get
portal.
the enchantment.
No, we didn't get that one.
I wanted to get that one, but
It would have been pretty funny if we had figured out how to get that to work and would just be like, yeah, just come in and talk to us and say the word before we open the door and just shove them in. Pocket dimension.
Just take Siren's, since she's come with us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly
The
now you're
problem with
slaving
that-
people.
The problem with that Bardo is that there were many
It's not
entrances
easy.
into that extra dimensional space, and we would have no way of like making sure people didn't steal our shit.
Yeah. They had the passphrase, so essentially just lock someone in there as long as they don't know that, and then just, you know.
well,
do
the
whatever.
carnival has it, so much we can do about it.
Yep. Unless we kill all of them.
I'm not against that. Although I think some others would be.
It's
just
a bit
check-
late for that.
Just slight change of plans. It's let's partway through the morning, right?
Yes,
have the-
The arena's in a few hours.
yes. Oh, and just Fernix, because I believe you weren't here. I don't think we need to go through it again, but he just explains the situation with the morning star, or the hammer.
Oh,
Yes, like I said, I think he's still asleep, but might be worth having a conversation later, at some point.
oh, probably. It's gratifying to know I'm not the only one who had an object talk to me last night.
Yes, I'm quite sure that I was awake. I think at least. I think it did. It might have actually been hearing you in your dreams. Strangely enough.
Oh, right, I would be. Of course. Well, maybe it was the morning then, because, well, as soon as I was up, I just started writing everything down.
Yes, I woke up about an hour or so before sunrise, so perhaps just caught the tail end.
Hmm. Well, they do say that speaking in one's sleep would signify when part of the mind is awake. So, it's curious. Maybe that's why it's so easy to recollect.
Well, dreams are a funny thing.
It's not necessarily my realm of expertise, but it could be something worth noting.
It's either it was just hearing you thrash about, or it is communicating through telepathy, so perhaps it was listening indirectly. But
Hope I wasn't too loud. I didn't wake anyone else up. So,
no, not to my knowledge.
good. I was... Well, actually, maybe I should just go and get that so we have all the talking objects in one place.
The Ioun.
Yes, I did try that thing to connect my mind and its, so I mean, let's see if it did anything. I don't know if dreams necessarily affect reality, but some really think that they do.
Certainly messages and dreams, I'd say.
Well, let's
I don't know.
figure it out.
Sure, why not?
Go and grab it, the pyramid,
Mhm.
and thunk it down on the table, and just stare
Like
at it.
The hammer, just kind of hold it and rest it up against the table. Fenrir, are you awake?
And my axe. No.
Put Sasha up on the table.
Just like looking around like what the fuck? Is placed down and just doesn't even move.
I'll throw an Atari up there too.
How the hell
Talking
did you get
Objects
me out of my
Anonymous.
room? Fuck you! Putting the pyramid of Ioun up onto the table, you definitely know, like, how do I put this? When you're writing a lot of your stuff down, like your connection to whatever was beyond like your scope of writing everything down right then and there, probably wasn't very good. Although you did notice that, like, as you did your prayers and I guess whatever morning genuflections or whatever you want to call them, it was a lot easier to focus and possibly like hear or feel that there was something around.
Okay.
With the conversation that's happened here in the room, you don't feel that the same feeling of nearness, but it was a bit heightened when you at least had physical contact with it. As for the weapon, you thud it down onto the table, and its response is, What? Only to you.
Is everyone here? Oh.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. I just didn't, we're trying to make sense of this whole situation. Can the rest of them hear you?
The rest of you hear a bit of a sigh, like it almost seems to sound in your own skulls rather than coming from a source around you. When I feel like it, sure. The voice that comes through is pretty harsh. It's obviously very masculine. It has a bit of a hard edge to it. It definitely has that quality of lack of education, I suppose, kind of a ruralness to it.
The Gilgamesh accent. I'm
No,
sorry,
not
I'm
quite
dogging on
that.
him so much.
No, I don't think it doesn't sound quite dwarven.
Similar amount of bloodlust, though.
Then it's
So-
just kind of stunned.
So you mentioned this morning that you were awoken by Fernix. Was that was there some sort of like connection to his dream situation, or was this just a noise thing?
I mean, I could hear him through the walls. They're not exactly very thick, moaning in his sleep.
Yes, I had thought perhaps you had made some sort of telepathic connection. Well, I suppose while you're up, this is the rest of the group that you've been seeing around.
Yo.
Yeah, we've got Tall Cat, Magic Dragon, Thief Boy, and Shorter Thief Boy.
Suppose it's not
Angry
entirely
Merchant.
And, well, do you prefer Fenrir's bite or the former? The latter?
Mr. Bite.
If I get a little bit stronger, maybe I will bite you.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Please don't. Let's not start this.
Alright, I won't.
Absolutely no idea why canines always act, so. Anyway.
Territorial.
Yes.
Comes in the genes.
Well, I suppose you're welcome to use whatever nicknames you like, but Big Cat is Fen, the Dragon is Fernix, the Thief Boy is Daxius or Inara. I think we typically stick with Daxius. And the Dwarf is Gilgamesh. Whether or not you want to use them is totally up to you.
Yeah, I can
It
kinda
don't take
sense.
too much offense. Gilgamesh isn't very talkative today. He isn't quite woken up yet.
The thing is, I can sense not only the people sitting here, but I feel 3 other presences at this table.
Immediate,
Sasha,
just
a pocket cat, and
Sentient
who
would be the
else?
third.
I'm gonna. So with the Fenrir's detect evil, is that something that I can just like channel directly through touching the weapon, or is that just like something that he can?
Mhm.
Okay.
You can sort of
So-
sense people, yeah.
I'll just kind of put my hand and see if I can see if that's what he's sensing, or if it's something else.
No, the sense of what he's sensing is more like that there is something near. None of them flag as necessarily evil. Although, like, you definitely, even in people that you think are primarily good, you do feel like a bit of a streak of evil, like, because it's a 60-foot radius. So it covers a decent chunk of the bar, so you can feel people in here who have done some fucking awful shit. But, like, who hasn't done at least something god-awful in their life?
Definitely
No
not
one's-
me.
No one stands out as necessarily evil. Although you hear, like, kind of like almost like a sniffing sound that says, no, there's 4.
I'm just gonna do
I-
like a head count of the room. See how many people other than us are in here.
Does pockets count
Is it-
twice? Huh.
I just point over at the Ioun, and I'm like, "There's at least 3 in there, and we did pick up a little smaller bit. For all I know, that could be enough to contain a fragment of a memory."
Is it?
It's gone now. We're back to 3.
Interesting.
I'm gonna just. Do we think it's coming from that? I just point to the pyramid. Or at least 3 of them.
I did try to make a connection with it, but
Fuck it. I'm gonna pop detect thoughts.
Okay, so you're basically trying to hit anybody that's in a... Well, I guess because it's a cone. Which way are you looking?
I'm just gonna slowly scan the whole room as subtly as I possibly can.
Okay. I'm
Just
gonna do
trying
rolls
to
for
see
random people.
like if there's like random people I'm not so interested in them that are like visible. I'm looking for like anyone that's possibly like invisible, skulking around or whatever. Someone that's in closer proximity.
The people around you, like you go around the room. Only one person, like you can't read much of their thoughts, and that's the bartender.
Hmm.
A lot of the other people, it's like there are a couple of like people like putting up posters on the wall, and you get thoughts of like, we need somebody. How much money can we put together? And then you move on, and there's people at the table. There's a mercenary who seems to be doing some kind of bookworks, and it's just you hear like a lot of maths, and you get the idea that he's not great at it, so he ends up having to go over the same stuff again and again just to make sure. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of really mundane shit. Give me a flat d20.
Okay. Big mind, no whammies. There was a bit of a whammy. was a
You
whammy.
come back around to the table, and I mean, whether or not your friends try to hide their thoughts, you don't really sense anything else here.
I'm not gonna pry into their minds. Just out of respect.
Fenrir, are the entities you're referring to the iron stone on the table?
I think so. One's pretty big, the other 2 are like... like dying embers.
Tarek might be the big one. But not having encountered the others, I have no way of knowing that for sure.
Be something we'll have to look into.
It's very concerning.
I mean,
I guess I just reach out and I like poke the the Ioun, trying to like mentally connect, even though I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah. Give me a d20. This one has to be a pretty good roll.
Oh. Or just do.
No. Nothing really happens. Obviously, you can still feel that there's energy there, but it's like you're not necessarily making the connection that you want to, or like, I don't know, this is something you've never done before, so how would you really know whether you're making headway or not?
Could be anything.
Yes, I'm concerned about that fourth. Perhaps it's part of the Ion Stone as well, or perhaps there's something keeping an eye on us more directly.
That's my theory. We did
I'm
see
sure
that
there are many ways that we could detect such a thing. We could go to a priest or someone who has ways to detect if we are being scryed upon, yes? I feel like this might be something that is worth the budget.
Couldn't a detect magic not reveal such a thing? Or is it
Not
hidden
always.
Well, something might have changed.
I do want to point out that there was that one person, Vic, Yumi, and Grumesh, when we left the Gauntlet. I spotted someone watching us from afar. We didn't find them, but there's definitely a party in this city somewhere keeping an eye on us, and I have one or two ideas.
There are likely many.
Quite possible, yes. That's not outside the realm of possibility. Fuck, the whole city could be watching us, for all we know.
It's possible.
And you
It's
wonder why I
probably
drink.
even.
It's one way of coping, I suppose.
You could say that.
In any case, what should we do about it? I think that I don't know too much about these things, but I think that perhaps we could find somebody who does know these things.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some spellcasters perhaps who could set up some sort of protections for the right price if we were keen on doing so. Though, it's hard to know how long this has been here. Perhaps it's been watching us for a long time and has done nothing. Any amount of trying to deal with it right away is futile.
Well, it's I suppose I'm presuming a bit here, but it's an object that contains at least some record of what was it, 1.1 or more living beings.
Apologies, my mind was still on that fourth creature. Yes, the Ion Stone. I don't know that we'd have much of a chance to do anything beyond. Well, you've already done quite a bit of research, haven't you, Fernix?
I haven't. I've managed to scratch the surface, but the information that's available is fairly limited. I'm just trying to to understand what it means to process something like that.
Well, if there's any source that might consider giving us the information, it probably would be the Sorcelarium, but that wouldn't exactly be fast.
There's also the library here that you haven't used as a resource, and don't forget there are still the books in the Gauntlet that you guys were interested in.
Yeah.
There's a few different avenues that we could go through, but I suppose the thing that I'm trying to figure out here is, well, would that personality still remain if the Ioun was turned into something else?
These are questions far above the things that I can answer. I look to the others.
Fuck if I know.
You'd be the person I ask.
I don't feel, at least, that Tarek believes that he's alive any longer, or that he's himself. But
it sounds more like this is closer to a ghost.
right.
I don't know if we should be terribly concerned about the ethics of it, but I do think that it is important to consider these things. It's a very strange thing in general.
Well, either way, we don't have the means to do anything to transform the stones, so...
Well, for all I know, they could have responded to my simply willing them into doing something, and then all of this information might have been wiped out completely, for all we know. But I'm not willing to process it until we can determine that. It would be akin to murder in my eyes. And there's still plenty of information that we need about this.
I do think that perhaps the knowledge that such a thing has is maybe more valuable than the stone itself.
Oh.
If what you've written here is true and what you've told us is true, this thing could have incredible knowledge.
I certainly wouldn't knowingly lie about something like this, but the whole time I was just wanting to make sure nobody put anything funny in my drink, right?
I wasn't saying that you would lie, but these things can be deceptive. I more mean if what you say is true, as in if it is accurate.
I was worried
You
it
know
was
what I'm trying to say.
Yes. I was a bit worried it was a vivid hallucination, or that I was being deceived in some way, but I'm at least willing to take what we've learned at face value. It didn't seem like the individual I was talking to had anything to hide, necessarily. Seemed to be frustrated with the situation, but was grateful to at least have seen some movement.
We still have some knowledge gathering to do, I suppose, before any sort of decisions can be made, whether the information is correct or not.
I feed Tony to shut him up.
Yeah, you hear the bean kittens mewing in the background.
Mhm.
Newborn kittens.
Yeah. You're just hungry.
Relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I suppose we can... I would say we can devote some time to that before the arena, but I don't want to feel like I'm directing anyone. And to be honest, feel like I've spent the last 3 hours explaining.
Well, there's a
Wow.
lot to explain.
Yes, it's a little bit overwhelming.
Well, I've only got like 2 small things on my list I need to do today, and they're incredibly minor, so I don't really have a lot going on. If you need help with anything before the arena, let me know.
We
Yeah.
try to do something about those books we left in the Gauntlet.
Yes, indeed. Do we have time for that? How long is that going to take us?
We probably have enough time to, the very least, formulate a plan. Get some supplies or contractors as needed.
Think those in the church would help us?
For the labor, I've no doubt. As far as getting them out without destroying them, that's... things become a bit more tricky.
My assumption is that if anyone could do it, it's either them or some librarians or something. I don't know, who would you trust?
I mean, I don't know that there's anything overly worth hiding just in the books in there, but we could ask about the Red Temple to see if anyone has dealt with some sort of similar situation before.
Alright.
Seeing if any of them have mending they'd be willing to lend for a couple of hours. For the right price, of course.
Alright. Always a price.
Temples aren't free.
Nothing's free in this world.
At least they're taxed, I mean. Could you imagine if that wasn't the case? Be crazy.
That would be crazy.
You know, I was crazy once.
Did they lock you in a room?
A rubber room, if you'd believe it.
Ooh.
We're gonna find out what this hammer does in a second here.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Alright, well, I guess we're heading over to the Red Temple.
Yeah.
Alright.
Let's make a day of it. In a couple hours, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since it's kind of on the way, I might split off, I don't know. Temples don't tend to really like me too much, so if you want to ask them about that, but I might just stop by the Dax house for 2 seconds and then regroup with you guys. It won't take that long, I'll be in and out, right and back. Alright. I'm gonna split off from them and head to the Dax house.
Alright. Are you just picking something up?
No, I actually wanted to talk with all my followers for a brief moment.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Yeah, I just walk in. They're probably trying their hardest to put together a bed frame.
Actually, let me roll for it. Wow, no, they've actually done a pretty decent job. They've gotten everything that you guys have bought is in the place that it probably should be, and everything's put together and actually well made. You have realized that they have figured out that without a mattress, a bed is not very useful. So, like, the couches and chairs that you bought, that's where they seem to have basically built their, sleeping arrangements.
Well, isn't this just charming? I'll gather them all up and just have a little meeting. Look, we've had some downtime here. Haven't had to do any jobs lately. We've had some steady income. I hope you haven't all blown through your money I've given you already. I look at Princess, who probably is the most likely one to have blown all their money.
You get the feeling that Princess probably didn't blow the money, but put it someplace and left and forgot where that was.
Just don't forget it this time, Princess. When we leave town.
Just like looking around guiltily.
Look, things have been... I won't lie to you all. I'm sure you all know that me and Atari went through the Gauntlet, and that's kind of a big deal. We've gotten ourselves caught in some turning gears, if you will. And there's no real way out of them. At least not for me. We have another job coming up. And it's a pretty serious job. But before that, I want to make sure you all are up to snuff in your combat abilities. I want you all to join the arena as a separate team from us. And I want to see how far you all get.
The reaction among the group is like,
Yes, I know. But you can get stronger through this experience.
Or just get the shit beat out of us.
You think I figured you guys were already used to that?
Just hear Natari say, hey, fuck you. Fuck you, lady.
Stick it where the sun don't shine, or I can forget about it. I want to see how well you all perform. I have high hopes. He crosses his fingers behind his back.
Give me a bluff, bitch. Yeah. There definitely is like kind of a fuck you, just like I don't know, that's a pretty decent bluff skill. I think only Natari could possibly beat that.
Yeah.
And I don't think she would.
I want you to go out there and show me your worth. Because I believe in all of you.
There's like a bunch of grumbles and like, what the fucks? And you see people like going to grab like what arms and armor that they have, which it's kind of a mixed bag overall. Like some people have like some okay stuff. Most of it looks like kind of like the gear that you think like street thugs would have.
Yeah, makes sense.
You're pretty certain that it would take 3 of them to beat up an average guard.
Makes sense. I will say, however, if it gets your spirits in gear, depending on how well you all do, and if we happen to do well ourselves, whatever prize me and my team might happen to get, I'll split my share with you all evenly.
A decent amount of the grumbles stop, but there's definitely not like a enthusiasm.
That's all. After the Gauntlet is over, later tonight we'll have another meeting discussing more of the future job. And a conversation about what comes after that. That is all. Take these last few hours to prepare yourselves mentally or physically. Mentally.
Alright.
And as I go to walk out, I'll just kind of see if I can gauge Natari's reaction. Briefly.
Give me a sense motive.
That I can do. Well, kind of.
You get the idea that she's like confused by this, like not like pissed off or like anything like that, but it's sort of like, what the fuck's going on? Just not necessarily with you, but just like with this situation.
I just glance down, like, and just try to avoid eye contact with her. After I gauge their reaction and swiftly make my way out.
Okay.
And I will regroup back with the others.
Okay. And before we go inside, let's take a little bit of a break. This is
No, I
definitely
don't
a
wanna.
little longer than I thought it would. Sorry?
I was joking. I said no, I don't wanna.
Oh, okay. Well. So, we'll be back in about 10 or 15, and we'll see y'all after.
All right.
I feel like this is taking a little longer than I thought it would have. Should be the second tagline to the podcast.
We'll be back. And we're back. Doesn't feel like it was like 15 minutes, but
Was it?
time means nothing once you get to like a certain point in your life.
I mean, I feel like I'm 20. Well, I feel like I'm 95 years old when I'm actually not even 25. So, anyway,
Did H-Ken?
I know I've sent that picture somewhere. I don't know if it was in this group, but I'm stopping myself before I talk about this guy because it's one of my favorite pictures, but I don't think it's relevant.
So,
I'll find the picture later and resend it.
Daxius, you've left the party's house, having announced to your followers that you expect them to die for your entertainment.
Wait.
Pretty cool.
I thought this was like a fun little event, not life or death.
I mean, like, you're going into the ring with, like, fucking monsters and shit. Like, I mean, obviously they're not gonna let you die, but, like, bruv, they're leveled for you.
Right, maybe I misunderstood the arena. I thought it was. Never mind. No, another time.
There are
Yeah, I'm
definitely
pretty sure
other events
IBS
that they can participate in, but not in the actual like tournament. They would not last. I think they would last in game 3 rounds.
Fair enough. I had an image in my head. I guess my image was wrong. Never mind.
That's still not that bad. 3 rounds?
20
Because
seconds.
there's so many of them and so few of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You mean in-game rounds or like? So literally 20 seconds. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagining them like talking amongst each other. It'd be like, no, Daxius would never do anything to harm us. He only wants us to advance. Did the morning jump into the meat grinder,
I thought you meant rounds in the arena.
or you're dead.
No,
That's
rounds
fair.
as in game rounds, 6-second rounds.
Okay, never mind. That's not so good.
Here's
No.
8 level 1 characters versus 2 level 8 wyverns.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I for some reason had this image that there was like human versus human fights as well. I knew there was monster fights, but
Oh yeah, there are, but that's not part of the actual like bracket.
I see. Well then, I'll have them do that instead because I thought it was a mix of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. That's
Yeah.
a folly on my part.
Like you're saying that, and I'm sitting over here like,
No, I want you all to run into the jaws of death.
fucking Confederate general over here.
Nah, I'll just do
Inside.
some like retcon, like do that instead, not the actual arena.
There you go. There you go. Now at least they won't be slaughtered horrifically. Okay. Oh boy, is my camera gonna shit the bed? I think it is gonna shit the bed.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, it likes doing that every so often. So, you catch up with the rest of them just as they're going up the many steps to the Red Temple's like actual main concourse. Because you were gonna go and consult with the probably the head priestess Kira Hornblower about what they can do to help you.
Probably start there.
I'll just stand outside the office because me and priests don't get along typically very well. They don't
Well-
tend to like my snarky remarks.
Except for the 2 that you got in the party. 2.5.
I wouldn't call them priests in the formal fashion.
I mean, Fernix is a cleric. Who the hell do you have there 1.5?
I mean,
have...
if we're talking about divine casters, then Fernix and Vic are both
Or
technically.
Or both divine casters, sure. Who's the half?
Technically, the hunters are also using divine spellcasting, even though it's not like deity based.
I consider that druidic. Like, just because I'm like, having it be divine makes no sense considering druid is their primary class that they're taking the hunter from.
I mean, it's more about how they play with armor and weapons.
Yeah, I guess. You want to be pedantic like Paizo, because God forbid we make anything fun.
Tomato.
What did
Arcane
Paizo do
spellfinder.
wrong? Hold on. Paizo doesn't deserve this flack. They don't deserve this flack.
I mean, how about
Don't you pick up that buckler now? Those are metal shields.
How about that 3 billion useless feats that they just pepper every single book they have with?
Oh, that's not a problem.
Or the
Not at all.
completely unbalanced, like the multitude of like really unbalanced and weirdly structured APs.
I think you're just
Oh,
salty.
no.
Or the
4
billions of
spells.
archetypes that are all wildly useless.
They made something, and you didn't, and you're jealous.
Oh no, I mean I'm playing the game. I've been playing it for like 3 years.
Dude, I love Pathfinder.
Oh, Pathfinder is great.
If you're developing content for something, I mean, why would you read the product that you're developing for? That's just
Yeah. Like remember earlier in this
wasting
session,
your time.
when we opened up the combat scabbard weapon, and despite saying that it's got like the first sentence, the only sentence is that it has a sharp blade, and it still does bludgeoning damage.
You
Yeah,
haven't ever been bludgeoned by a sharp blade before?
It's a sharp blade, but it's like you're not hitting them with the sharp part. You're hitting them with the other side. The sharp blade is actually poking into the scabbard, so you're hitting them with the back of the blade.
Is what I hate when I'm trying to, cut something in half with a knife, and I put my finger in the way, and then I bludgeon myself really hard, and I'm like, damn it. That sucks. I'm gonna have a welt.
Yeah, really bad bruise.
Yeah, maybe they just forgot to take the knife cover off of the scabbard when they were writing the damage type.
I mean, you're just swinging a scabbard at someone, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you would. I think they saw Iaido and they were like, "This is so cool," and then they forgot the part where it's sort of you're just using the scabbard like as a stick, basically. Anyway, so it's not the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning that the book this came out 13 years ago, so they haven't quite noticed it, among other things. Anyway.
I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get errata now, anytime soon.
No, considering they're now on a 2E.
Yeah, I explained to them what we are generally looking for. Is someone to go down and get these books out without damaging them too thoroughly, or at least keep the pieces together so they can be mended.
So yeah, you guys go in. It's not super busy. It's a bit early. Like the first mass, I guess you would call it, is probably not until like 10 or 11. So it's a lot of older folks who come in early, and then obviously the people who live and work here. You're shown right back to Kira's, I guess, what passes for office, which is more like a library that she happens to have a desk in. And I guess as you enter, like, she kind of looks up from her writings. She's actually using like basically almost like a magic quill, like moving her hands and letting the quill write for her. And as she lifts up, like, the quill stops writing, and she's kind of like blinks a little bit. Oh, you're back.
Yes. We had found something while we were in the Gauntlet.
concern.
Was a number of shelves full of books.
Calm. Yeah, it's like, okay, that's better.
And the books had teeth on them.
That panic.
Oh right, I was
That's
going to
bad.
tell you about this other thing. I explained the whole dream
It's like,
to her.
that's good. That's bad. Can I go now?
Oh god.
There was a mummy down there, but we killed it.
And someone got sick, but we cured them.
Mhm.
But one of our friends got kidnapped, but they got let go after being cured.
For free.
We managed to save the disease in this vial, and oops.
Oh well, I
Good
dropped
thing
it.
we already neutralized it.
No, there's glass
But not-
everywhere.
But not before giving the recipe to the enemies.
Okay.
Of course, we
So yeah, we.
put it in thieves' can't.
If anyone happens to have prepared the mending orison, that would be probably ideal for this. Oh yes, in return, how would you like it if I taught you a couple of spells I can guarantee that you don't know?
Certainly, any kind of knowledge you're willing to offer is always appreciated, even if it's just whatever's within the books.
Well, that, and I do have some experience developing the arcane theory that would be, I suppose, the most basic way of putting it.
Well, certainly. Once we handle this, we can schedule a little bit of time, sit down, and she just kind of gestures towards like the quill that she had been using to magically record things down. Able to take a little dictation.
Right. I can't explain all of that in due time. But, well, I would certainly be more than happy to share it. At this point, I've only sent a missive back to the church as far as, letting them know about the work that I've done. So, you would technically be receiving the information before them, and, well, up to you to make use of it during that time, but...
That would be no problem. We would definitely appreciate that. Any kind of new knowledge which comes out of, well, anywhere, generally appreciated.
Mhm. We can see about copying over the information with the books. I don't know exactly what's to become of them, but we are working with the Valier Society, and they do have some shelf space.
I'm sure they would appreciate it as well. If the people here don't have the experience to save and restore some of these and record the knowledge that's contained within, then somebody at the Valier Society definitely will.
That is true.
What all would be needed from us? You're of course welcome. I'll guide you down so you can get in, no problem. I meant beyond that.
Well, we'd need some individuals to transport the books back up and everything, and, repair them.
I can definitely assign some acolytes to that task. I have a few people come to mind already that I'm sure would appreciate having some tasks given to them on their less busy days.
Mm-hmm. It is something that I'm rather familiar with myself.
Okay. She stands up and, goes by, takes a little walk. Like I said, she's a halfling woman, and she returns with, 3, I guess, friars. I guess they're a friar when they're not really, ordained or something like that. Acolytes, basically. And, explains to them that they'll be doing a little bit of moving, lifting, and that sort of thing, and to follow your instructions unless otherwise told.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of give them directions as far as the gauntlet goes. Tell them to be absolutely sure not to go into any other rooms because there's, pit trap and could possibly be more oozes around because they could just be living in the walls or some shit.
They're in the walls. They're in the goddamn walls.
Yeah, I go on about all the potential things that could still be there to kill them, but then I'm just like, oh no, but you just stay on the path and everything's should be good.
Might need to be somewhat careful with the lever trap we ran into. Perhaps first order of business is finding something to secure that to make sure that any amount of transportation over the top of it isn't going to cause any issues.
We did pitten it.
Yes,
So-
but
We did, but it's not pittened anymore. I actually have them.
Oh. Then yes, I would pitten it.
Yeah, the acolytes seem like somewhat concerned by the things that you have described that might be lurking down there. It's like you guys are doing that. Oh, don't worry about it. But there just might be these things that might, eat your flesh from the bone out, or you might fall into a hole and break every single bone on the way down, but somehow still be alive.
Really glad you didn't go down there. Oh, also, if you happen to see a carrion crawler, I would just run.
Yeah, they look concerned. Like one of the girls like looks to Kira and she's like, "They're fucking with you," and they're like, "Okay."
I look completely serious.
Vic is just kind of not making direct eye contact at the moment.
None of you are able to make you're not able to remove paralysis, so don't worry about it. If it was something dangerous down there, we probably killed it already.
Probably.
Well, except for the one thing in that other room.
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think we
also
disagree.
that charging trap that Garugamesh did things to.
Yes, that was the other way into the library, but getting through there would be difficult, so that's why we would have to go around the other side with the sliding floor.
So if you see any of that, don't go for it. Just go in, one over to the right. It should be the one with the pit trap that you have to pit in so you don't fall down and break your damn necks. And then you turn left, go down the giant crack in the wall, and then go down the other hole that you have to, deal with so that you don't fall and break your necks. And then go and get a bunch of these heavy books and then just climb back up with them. And don't break them.
Was there a pit? Thought it was mostly a straight shot to the library after.
Well, there was the descent. Yes.
The library wasn't down in the temple. This was actually just in the gauntlet itself.
Oh, it was. Okay. Oh,
Yes,
yes, I was misremembering. I'm sorry, I hate going down fucking holes and shit.
Yeah, so if you head directly north from the entrance, take a right, that's where the crawling floor is. From there, make another left and head straight on for a while. There should be an obelisk room and then a hallway with a bunch of murals. In the hallway with the murals, there should be a secret door that has already been opened. Past that, into another room, where there should be the bodies of a few different constructs. There's another hole in the further wall past that, and that is where the library is, if memory serves.
Some of them just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure.
You don't need to remember this. We'll be going down with you.
Take a right, hug the right wall
Wait,
until you get to a circular room, and then you take a left.
then why did you listen to me explain all that? We were just going to go down with them.
Because it's a mess, and I thought they should know what they've gotten themselves into.
Hold on. I take out my potion. I drink that. I drink the other potion.
It's alcohol.
Yeah. Just fucking fall down.
Yeah, I'm drinking my
Yeah,
potion. It just happens to look like a rum and coke.
You just, the little umbrella in it is, so I know what kind it is.
Yeah. In my country,
Yeah,
they call this a pina colada.
I make my arm appear, and then I just.
Hmm.
All right, let's go.
All right. Kira just kind of pats them on the shoulder as they go by and then retreats back into her office. You're able to lead them out of the temple. One of the novices that work there shows you a side exit and then, goes around with you so that they can let you into the courtyard, and then just once you're inside, lets you and the 3 acolytes that have been lent out to you like workhorses go inside and out of sight. The journey down into the Gauntlet is pretty inconsequential. It's the same that you've done before. It feels a lot better down here now that you know that on the other side there's nothing overly threatening, except for that one thing, which shouldn't be a problem as long as you don't go down that way. And with the door now open, as it hasn't been reset, you're able to enter, make your way through, and lead the acolytes to the octagonal room with which is where the library books was. And once they're in here, they seem to be a lot calmer and seem to be more interested in actually working on this. They do say it'll take a little bit of time to carefully take everything up, but that it shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially with everyone here, pitching in. Okay. So I guess somebody give me a flat d20. Just one person, I don't care who.
I'll do it. I did it.
Pretty good. You don't run into any overt issues as you're working on moving the books up and out. There are definitely pockets where you're like, yeah, these books are kind of they're ruined. You're not going to get anything out of that. So part of the job is going to be just separating what is salvageable or in okay condition versus what is just beyond repair. And you still get the vast majority of the books. It takes you about maybe an hour or so for everybody to get everything up and out. Where do you take the books? Do you take it back into the temple or to the society chapter house?
I'd make the argument for the chapter house.
Yeah, she was even the one to be like, well, they've got good resources and stuff, so I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
If they need translation, probably better to go there.
So it's a little bit of a walk to take it over, but eventually, probably about a little after 10, you're able to get it inside and into either the library or some of these study areas, such as the one in which you spoke to John Luke the previous day. Once you have it in, there are a few people, obviously the acolytes, once they're done transporting things, that's pretty much their job. And they take their leave.
I assume we'd probably use the Vardo, so
okay.
If they are helping us unloading things, we're not just making them carry it several blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, several, yeah, here, carry these several loads of 100-pound books, just, don't trip.
Just don't even get a wheelbarrow or anything. Just make them carry them.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Run, damn you.
And once
what are we not paying you for?
Once they're unloaded, Jean-Luc is a bit busy, so he doesn't even notice you guys coming in. You don't know where he is. And Talia is obviously indisposed with her own business. But that leaves you guys alone in an environment that is suitable towards studying and hopefully making the best of these books. There is somebody there in the library who, at least, maybe that's not their job, but they at least have somewhat of a knowledge of what to do regarding this. And weirdly enough, Xavier has a bit of like, oh yeah, these are certain tools that you should use, just work slowly. It's gonna take you a bit of time, honestly, probably until you would go over to the arena to go through everything. And I'll go through a few books that you do find that are interesting. Something for at least everybody. I know Rugamesh had things that he was interested in as well, so I will be providing him with some stuff. So this is probably where we'll end up picking back up. I'm assuming that... I know Giro said he had some other things that he wanted to do, a little bit of shopping, a little bit of writing and traveling, that kind of thing. So stuff that wouldn't have necessarily involved what you guys were doing. So it should be a good place for him to come back in. So...
Hell yeah.
The first book that is of interest, a lot of the books are things that you don't really have much interest in. They're histories, they're philosophical or religious texts that are a little dated or obtuse. But there are a few things that stand out. The first of which is called A Taste of the Southern Provinces by Hetz Kerling. And I will post these as I describe them in the records page. This one describes a chef from the north who travels down to the southern provinces during the late period of the Empire, and actually describes a few extant species which are no longer alive because they were eaten, as well as a certain sauce which is no longer popular, and basically learning that it's made out of rotten fish is probably why it's stopped being popular.
That makes sense.
So, I'll find some streaming compilation videos to post in the chat for later.
Oh my god.
Okay. I guess I'll give a little description of everything and then post it all in the chat. The second book is called A Green Witch's Touch by Yasmina Asori, basically describing a lot of the medicinal and nature aspects of green hags in a way that comes from the perspective of a druid or a ranger. So focusing on herbal remedies and treatments that are probably no longer in circulation or would have only been common in very rural areas and didn't ever actually make it into the I guess main body of knowledge of this era. The third book is called War in the East, The Orcish Threat by Sir Tarish Halcombe, which describes a unusual account of what is called the Broken Sticks War, which happened in the 5th century, which was a regional conflict not too far north of... Is that Aldhaven? Yeah, of Aldhaven. Regarding a conflict between the Empire and the Orcs living in the White Tops, in a way that is actually pretty even-handed, very detailed, and not necessarily first person, but in a way that is, at least for humans living during this period, pretty fair to their own opponents. The fourth is The Source of Magic, which it regards some of the things that actually might have been learned regarding the casting of magic from Jean-Luc. Let me just post these ahead for a while. Whichever of these you want to actually read for the actual stream. I know some of them would be more interested to your characters, so you're probably going to have to pick and choose. The fifth is called Shifting Shadows and Dangerous Darkness by Rhea Loranansky. This one is actually a story, like an actual story, which may or may not be fictitious, regarding a group of shadow chasers who descended into the Underdark in pursuit of a group of drow that had emerged from the Undercity beneath Helgrim to assassinate several members of the Sworn of Azarian and make off with a necklace which was said to allow for great feats of magic.
Okay.
Six is The Duties of the Faithful by Priestess Kelkanara. Mostly goes over certain information related to the beliefs of Azarites, followers of Azarian. Seventh is The Legend of Yorick Bellinarius by Veller Legible, which is a story.
I'm sorry, the person who wrote it was called Legible.
Weller, in parentheses, illegible. Last name is
Oh.
not readable.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, wow, they named a whole thing after them, huh? Pretty well known author.
This is
Yeah.
basically the story of a specific shadow chaser, which may or may not be true. Or excuse me, no, yeah, he does become a shadow chaser. Eighth is The Interactions and the Experiences of Interplanar Travel by Rovan Ian Morris, which concerns exactly as you would expect. Travels between the planes, the nine hells, the astral plane, heaven, and with the suggestion that there are many others which might be accessible if only the right magic and the right waypoints existed. Ninth is On the Breaking of the Beast Courts by H.L. Nemeko, which this one concerns at some point during the beginning of the Third Era what might have been the last push of basically the beast folks to resist the expansions of mankind's dominion into their own territory, and what may or may not have happened as a result. This last one, well, the 10th one is called The Kinmosian Art of Arcane Calligraphy by No Name Is Present. The book lists many different ways Kinmosian monks use metallic ink to imbue objects with potential magic, heightening not necessarily the object's power, but making its creation easier and slightly cheaper. It relates to older runic magic, with the ink being of a mixed quicksilver, platinum, and the blood of a unicorn to be drawn with the feather of a phoenix. Though thankfully very little is needed in order to accomplish this. The last one I will post probably in sections because it's actually longer, because it is also a story. This one is probably for Vic?
And for those watching on YouTube, we'll post all these in the comments down below.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Most
sure.
likely.
Totally.
We have no way of actually knowing that happened, but we'll probably.
Well,
do it.
I could definitely make a Google Docs document that can be accessible via the description. That's no problem.
You can make
I
a
think it's
post.
probably easier to do the comments thing.
I'm like, it
Comments,
should be.
post it on Twitter, somewhere.
Somewhere.
We'll have some.
So, yeah, I know that's definitely a lot to go through, but, well, you did dig up a shitload of ancient books.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely some stuff I'm going to be reading.
Same.
So, you're probably able to get through some of this, maybe at least figuring out what its title is, what it is most likely contained within, and then sort of taking the things that you want. by the time noon comes or Giru rejoins the party. Which would be something that would be good for him to be here to hear, as I believe perhaps some of these might be of interest to him.
Yeah, just
That's fair.
shoot him a message and tell him to check the Reckless chat.
Mm-hmm.
He'll put two and two together.
Well, this is exciting.
Yep. I was about to be like, well, I'm up here updating all my spell icons.
It may not be the most interesting thing to watch. Just 5 people reading quietly
Probably
on their own.
Well,
We
Well,
probably
hey,
should
I'm-
read. We should probably read these off stream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read them later. I'm staring at pictures right now, so I don't know what you'd want to call that.
And probably the only ones that definitely could be read on stream would most likely be the ones that are actual stories. Of which there are more than I honestly thought there were.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to read these. There are some of these that interest me, but well, I currently have a book I'm already working through.
Yeah.
I don't think of a good way of.
For between sessions.
Yeah. Trying to think of a good way to get this to an audience that's not in the Discord, outside of just like making another Discord in case people want to join.
We could put it on Twitter and link it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably could do a twit longer or just split it up into 30,000 different posts.
Yeah. Either way.
We might be running into the, what is it, 300 character limit on Twitter now?
Yeah.
250.
Well, they can't stop us from replying to our own posts yet.
No. They might make you pay for it, given Elon's fucking track record.
Oh, it's gotten
Then-
worse. It's so much worse now.
Well, then we'll make it a picture and we'll post the picture to get around that.
Post a picture of us all taking a dump on a Cybertruck.
That would require
what?
finding a Cybertruck.
Yeah, we can just Photoshop
Listen.
it.
Yeah, fair
It'll
enough.
probably look better that way, rather than...
Probably, yeah.
I think I've seen one in real life.
Listen, okay, at least excrement serves a purpose. Let's not go about devaluing that. Like,
Well, when they inevitably dump the Cybertrucks in a large like garbage pile somewhere, it'll be used as fertilizer. So technically, we're helping the environment.
Technically.
you know, if you take enough of those, you could put together like a steel house that someone could live in.
I mean, you wouldn't want to, but
You definitely wouldn't want to. It'd probably be like a fucking oven. But you could.
it's like those people who turn like old dumpsters into like living spaces, except somehow the Cybertruck looks and smells worse.
Yeah.
I'd believe it.
Anyway, yeah,
We,
I think twit longers are probably the good way of doing this if we don't want to like, or we could like upload a YouTube video of us reading these or something.
That could be
Possible.
fun.
Possible. Either that or we'll do a little in-between session to be like, time for story time, boys and girls. Get
Let's-
ready
I think
for
we should-
violence.
Yeah.
let's try to remember to link the two somehow.
How about as John's
least
way
try.
of making it up to us, he has to read all these out loud for a video.
Yes, how dare he spend time with his family? That
Yeah.
bastard.
What kind of loser spends time with friends and family in real life instead of on the internet?
I know, right? Ugh.
What's the big deal? I didn't get to hear him talk about how much his character drank last night.
You know, he's like some kind of weirdo who doesn't live in his parents' basement.
Wow.
Right.
Actually, never mind.
Yep.
Anyway,
Well,
we'll figure something out.
we look at the books. And we point at the things in them, and then we talk about the books.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
comment on them.
That'll definitely be something we'll come back to most likely next.
Mm-hmm.
So, this might be about as much as we're going to accomplish before we need to re-include Garugamesh, who probably has definitely been having his own adventures while you guys were looking at books and having mental breakdowns.
Yes. Of a percentage, how much do you think is him falling down a hole?
Non-negligible?
It's greater. I think it's greater than 5%.
At least.
He's probably fucking watching us like, you bastards! Although he probably would have commented if he was.
You know, if you're here, send some comments, or just like text me directly, or just come over to my house. You know where I live.
He does indeed.
Is that? Are you like Tony Starking yourself right now? Is that? Are we only gonna see one of you next week, and we don't know which one?
No, no.
Yeah, I might be dead. So if I am dead, I don't know. Good game.
Enjoy your Kill Bill-esque duel, I guess.
You know, I don't think either one of us are trained enough in martial arts to know the five-finger death punch or whatever the hell it's called.
Shit,
True.
But,
manga.
It was a good movie. Anyway,
It's fun.
Alright, so I guess keeping in line with the belief that this was probably going to be a shorter session, we can either call it here or we can each take turns fucking reading these out. It is up to
It's a
you.
good place to end.
I'm alright with ending it here.
yeah,
Alright. So,
it's easier to fake me not knowing how to read when we don't have to actually read on stream.
now, boys
Sure.
and girls, it's time for you each to read a passage from a book so the whole class can see which one of you can only read at a 5th grade level.
And all the kids are fighting for the page that has the N-word on it.
Oh.
I think I made that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I made that joke last time.
Maybe?
We could always read it, you know, just each being like at a different grade level.
I mean, we could try that, but I think knowing everybody in this group, I don't think we would have enough range to achieve that.
Yeah.
Alright, well, then I guess this is where our session will be ending, and hopefully next week we'll be back to the regular amount of players that we usually have.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably end up going into the arena and seeing how well they fare.
That's exciting.
And not
Right.
murdering my followers by throwing them at death.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, generally, yeah.
3 of them are going to die of IBS before they even get to the arena. Like, I don't think there's any
Probably.
real chance of them making it to the end.
They could barely even put a bed together. This is more to push them a little bit.
I also, for whatever reason, remembered one of the first scenes of the first Kill Bill movie is just like a long shot of Uma Thurman's feet.
Yeah.
And then I remembered who directed that movie. And
No.
Everything makes
I get
sense.
Yes.
anyway,
How did that
see y'all next
guy-
week.
Just
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's end it there. Yeah.
Let's end it on Uma Thurman's feet. I think it's
Yeah,
a good place
right.
to stop.
There are worse things to end on. Alright, everybody,
I'll-
see you
I will
next
leave
week.
that.
Goodbye.
right there.